not only reading for your exams and passing with flying colors. It goes back to the classes. How do you go to take a call and leave the professor just lecturing? Are you a person of integrity? You know, do you sign that you came to class, then with the intention of leaving 5 minutes later? That's not integrity. The small things that we ignore, they're the things that make us, not to be people of character. And that is what basically integrity touches on.
Thank you so much for that. Mr. Rashid Swale Mohammed, you had this jargon where unasema, mimi leo nimeamua kucheza defense. Hivi vitu ni ngumu, mimi nimeamua kucheza defense. How can you categorize that?
Well, as you put it, it's a jargon. And jargon's original intent is camouflaging. That because for one reason or another, good and bad, I was not able to cope with the mode of operation, the moral code, the operational policy of doing a particular way. In this case, academics, which involves preparations and working from the beginning to the end, not sleeping and sprinting at the end. Then more often than not, when you are found at the receiving end, then that is how the jargon of playing defense shows up, where you need external backups and those things that are written in font 0.017, you're just backing yourself up. You are defending what did not happen. And so that is how we land into that jargon. When we don't walk through the whole code of operations, then kucheza defense is always the defense that we apply.
Okay. I secretly gave out my phone number to people to send me some messages. The question they want me to ask. So there's a message nimepata hapa. And someone is saying, Levi, mbona hii panel ni ya watu weusi peke yake? You could have mixed this man ajui kuuliza maswali. Now, Swale. During your life as a student, have you ever failed in a CAT or an exam?
Okay, thank you. Well, I must say, where I come from, I'm the second brownest. So I come number 2, so you can't just say that what you said.
It's not me, it's the person who wrote.
So back to your question. Yes, to the best of my memory, I have faithfully failed twice.
How?
When I was in the last semester of the first year, I was very born again.
Mm-hmm.
And class was secondary to salvation for me. And so I skipped quite a number of classes to serve the Lord. So there came this teacher who didn't seem to like me, and he brought the wrong cat. The one that did not need scripture and tongues. And so I sat, wrote that cat, and I knew, man, you are here. This is the time. So I faithfully scored 3 marks.
3 marks?
Yes.
Out of?
Out of 30.
3 out of 30?
Yes. What is it? What percentage is that?
We can't mention.
Okay.
And you're the same guy who got a distinction?
Yes.
During your graduation?
Yes.
And they called the 3 names, Rashid, Swale, Mohammed.
Yes.
So how did you overcome that, failing in a CAT, and yet you wired yourself up and you went ahead and maybe you must have scored that and in that unit. Please, how did you overcome that?
Well, the Lord is good, because that sounded a warning shot to me. I use the word shot because I like firearms. So I had to wake up. I realized, wait, I am losing balance here. I was afraid of preaching in the class anymore. because these guys just realized you are just an academic dwarf. And so I had to strike a balance, deliberately make a decision that I need to balance my academics and my salvation life. And I had to work extra hard to compensate for what I counted wasted time. And when the exam came, the main exam for that paper, well, I really compensated because I scored serious marks. Out of a possible 100, I had 88.
88.
Yes.
A clean A.
Yes.
Hey, you could have told me that time I could have bought you some coffee.
Well, we were suffering together. So.
Thank you so much. Let's go to Pastor Sam. Pastor, have you ever been tempted to copy an exam or a cut?
It's a wrong question for a pastor. But sorry to disappoint that person, because yes, I've been tempted and I fell into the temptation. When I was in second year, when I was doing my diploma, I was doing a paper called Mechanical Science. It really scared me. And I thought, I need a backup for this. First time, I was shaking. I thought hata mwalimu anaona kwa mfuko. Where it was. I think out of it, I panicked and I could not even remember what I'd even read. Yeah, I was just thinking, if I could remove just this Mwakenya, I get an A. Unfortunately, the teacher came and sat just next to where I was. And I just went blank. So I can't remember what I scored, but I got a referral for that paper. And remember, we were doing a NEC exam.
So you harvested what you planted?
Oh, yes. After that, now I had to do a retake because it was...
So you paid the price for almost using a Mwakenya?
Yes, very well.
Okay, now, Nelson, we can be having some guys who are here, and they're saying using a Mwakenya is not sin. Now we are going deeper and deeper. Using a Mwakenya is not sin. Or rather, you know about formation. Correct, teamwork in academics, teamwork in exams. Then for us, we are not copying, but you just study this. When you combine together, we form a formidable team, and we excel in our exams. And the term they use, you can do what I cannot be able to do. You can do what I can be able to do. So together we can do great things. So Nelson, how can you advise someone like that? Maybe there's someone here who is suffering because of Kenya, Ajajua, and is born again, is in the CU, hammering the gospel, crushing the demons.
Like the way, let me just put it in the layman's term. Like there are few things, like let me give you this test, which I kind of call it, are you proud of test? Whatever you're doing, ask yourself, if we call you into this Christian Union with a mic and ask you, are you proud of, and start listing these things. The ones that, can you tick them? Like if you ask you, you copied in exam yesterday, are you proud of? Then you say, I am proud of, either loudly or you say, not really. So like there are few things that you should just use this test to kind of to know. You need not to go around and look for so many things to test whether what you're doing is right or wrong. And then let me just put few things here which are sometimes at stake. When you look at academic integrity and the things that you're doing, like we have national interests here at stake. We don't miss a day without hearing stories of scandals, stories of doctors who forgot some equipments on someone's body, or engineers who build a building that collapsed, or bankers who not competent or have gotten used to cutting shortcuts. And then you end up having bankers who just find that their things are not working, they give bad loans to meet targets or whatever. These people were groomed in these classrooms. So for Christians, what I will advise you, you can't sugarcoat these things. Like, you can't sugarcoat these things. Like, the things that you cannot come into the light and share with your brethren, those things are sinful. And you ought not to engage in them. First of all, because of what is you're putting at stake here. Like, remember, you are going to be a person that this nation is going to depend on. And if you have not groomed yourself into integrity and doing the right things, there is that slide of how much is too much, like where do you stop? And I think that's the biggest risk when we call this nation, like 80% of us are Christians. And I know these questions we throw it in focus forums and all, like 80% are Christian and we're not seeing any impact. And I know when we say that question, you're like, okay, it's 80%, it's the other guy, not me. But it's all of us here. It's all of us. So what I will say is just, I know I'm like throwing a very big thing at you, but if you're a Christian and you are in our midst, and you don't want to do the hard work. And I met these guys in class, actually. So you call them like about 3 weeks before exam, like, hey, what's up? Can we come for a sleepover? We revise and whatever. Like, no, I'm busy and what. And then they come in like, during exam, they want to throw this thing at you. It's like, you're a bad person, you don't want to cooperate. And I'm like, no, I'm not a bad person. I actually called you like 3 weeks before exams for us to work together. And then you don't want. And then we're in this exam room and you're giving me this look. You know the look of like, you're giving me this look of, what's up, brother? Like, no, I'll not help you. I'll not help you in the exam room. And we shouldn't do that thing. So for me, so in general, just to summarize, in this sense, whatever you're doing it unto the Lord. It's not for yourself. It's not to appease your parents. So in that sense, take it as if you're doing it to the Lord, and not to yourself or to your friends. And then what is at stake here is a whole nation, because you're going to lead the nation. So that's the second thing which I'll really give you. Once you get yourself used into cutting shortcuts, that's what is bringing this society down. That is what is bringing this continent down. It's because people who were not groomed to do things the right way, always getting used to cutting shortcuts, and boom, you know what? That leads to youth unemployment, and that goes back to you again. So I charge us to take this thing as if we're doing it, not as if we're doing it, because we're doing it unto the Lord.
Okay, thank you so much. Let's go to Caro Bundi. Have you ever failed in your cut or any exam?
According to my standard, yes. Because I have to clarify that.
Please share your standards.
Yes, because someone else may not be a failure. Because I remember that it was a cut. That cut I got 12 out of 30. And yes, Nishinda Rashid, Nishinda Uyu. So my standard is higher. Yes, I got 12 out of 30. And I was very disappointed because since when, I think I was in Thandia. And since when I joined the school, I've never performed that. So everybody was like, Carol got 12 out of 30. No, those marks that must be known by everyone. So it was so shameful to me.
So what did you do after that?
I remember that unit was clinical chemistry. Clinical chemistry is one of the key units in our course, and got an 11 out of 30. So I knew if I don't do something, then I'll fail. And we had this lecturer. You know those lecturers who want you photocopy the notes. What they give you, is, if they give you a definition, they want, if it comes to the exam, you define that. And I'm very poor in cramming, but very good in understanding. I would understand and reproduce it my own way. But now I want to work in the lecturer's way. I want to go sit down, rewrite the notes 5, 6, 7 times until I'm able to sing the song of the teacher. It wasn't the best way of learning, but I want to do it and do it good. But I performed good in clinical chemistry. I think I got an A in the unit.
Wow. Wow, that's nice. And we don't talk, we just mention. Yes. Esther, have you ever copied in a CAT or any exam?
Okay. In TUK, I've never copied. But I remember when I was in high school.
Okay.
Yeah. When I was in high school, or which high school? I was in Tumutumu Girls High School. So, we used to have a very strict teacher in business studies. And that time I was very poor in business. It's because I didn't like it. I didn't like the teacher. So, we were to do this CAT. So we had gone for games. Then we came back. We found like the people were doing the CATs and all that. And you know, the people were encouraging us. Nyinyi mmekuja saa hii hata mkikopi, you know. And you know, tulitoa notebooks and tunaweka hapa. And the shocking thing is I was caught. Yes. I was caught copying. I was given a punishment for a whole week in a farm in the school. And I think that was the turning point in my life. That was the turning point. I said, that time I was not very strong in Christianity, but I was just praying that God would just help me, give me a way out. Yeah.
Okay, that's nice. So you learned something. A burned child dreads fire.